the demon, and they could not. Wow, Jesus said, wow, why? He said, oh, you faithless generation. Faithless generation. The reason why the people could not cast it out is not that they didn't have power. They didn't have faith in that faith in which they had. Remember, Jesus says, even that which you have, if you don't acknowledge it, will be taken away from you. The word taken away means it will be dormant. It will not find expression. Let's continue. Why should we think on these things? Because thinking on this thing will help us to walk the Christ life in our generation. Christ life. You see, it's quite amazing. Listen to me. It's quite amazing that a lot of people don't know how to walk as Jesus walked on this earth. One of the greatest secrets of Jesus is that he had time to fellowship with his master, with his father, not master. He never called him a master. He had time to fellowship with his master. Not only that, he had time to think through things. So when we think on things that are true, things that are noble, things that are pure, things that have good report, things that are wholesome, things that are lovely, virtuous, it makes us to walk and to live like Christ on this earth. A man that has these things, 8 virtues, 8 things they think about, is not a man that can be easily defeated. Another reason why we are supposed to think on these things is so that we will not be defeated in life. Life is a battle. You know, one time I was asking myself, I don't know if you have ever asked yourself, Samson, why do baby cry when they come out from the womb? Why? Why do baby cry? Because if a baby does not cry, they will never say they are alive. I think it was said when he was being removed from the womb, he did not cry. They had to hit him. Once he cried, they said that's the time of birth. You see, your voice is what gives you life, or not gives you life. It's what recognize or make people to understand that you are alive. So why do baby cry? I will talk about it some other time. You have to understand, you must be victorious. And in order to be victorious in this life, you have to think on these things. The next thing, this is very important. Why should we think on these things? Is because these things we think on, connect us back to our Father. Jesus is true. Our Father is noble. He's just. He's pure. He's lovely. So when you think on this thing, your mind and your spirit connects back to God. If you refuse to think on it, you're thinking on defeat, failures, weaknesses, things you did not do, things you should have done. Your spirit mind is not connected to God. The spirit mind is not connected. But when you begin to think on things that are pure, true, holy, wholesome, noble, lovely, things that have good report, virtuous, you find out that your spirit connects to God. Lastly for tonight, why should we think on these things? These things we are supposed to think on make us to live in harmony with others. A lot of people who don't think on true things, noble things, pure things, just things, lovely things, good report, they don't keep peace with their neighbor. They're always thinking how to fight. They're always thinking how to fail. They're always thinking how to do evil to one another. When we think on this thing, it makes us to live in harmony with each other. Now, whatever things, finally, brethren, whatever things that are true, whatever things that are noble, whatever things that are just, whatever things that are pure, whatever things that are lovely, whatever things that have good report, if there be things that have virtue, if there be things that are praiseworthy, meditate, preoccupy your mind, Think, focus, gaze on these things. Gaze on these things. The last thing I'll say that is not part of my note. Why must we think on these things? Because these things make us into the image of our Savior. It makes us into the image of Christ. I want to believe that when we think on things that are true, things that are noble, things that are pure, things that are lovely, things that have good report, things that are full of faith, it makes us to be like Christ. There's a song we used to sing in those days. I don't know if it's acceptable nowadays. It says, Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart. 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 Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart. We want to be like Jesus, but this is the way to be like Jesus. To focus our mind on these things. Can we stand up and just begin to appreciate the Lord for allowing us to be here this evening and allowing us to hear this word of truth that has the potential and the capability to shift our life. Let's lift up our hand and begin to thank the Lord. Thank the Lord that you have the mind of Christ. Thank the Lord that you have